and I'm teaching two courses, one on international trade and one on international finance. So their relationship to the theme of VIU, I think, is fairly obvious. In the first one on international trade,
Okay.
on the first one on international trade, the topics I'm going to cover are as follows. First, I'm going to start with a discussion about what is international trade and how do we measure it. And I'm going to look not just at economic issues, but also technology and flows of people and other metrics for assessing globalization. Then from there, we're going to go on and talk about traditional trade theory, a la Smith and Ricardo, and then we're going to also integrate the role of exchange rates and talk about this issue called exchange rate pass-through, which is very important for pricing, for profitability of the multinational firm. If you think about right now, the automobile industry in Japan is being hammered by the value of the yen, and exchange rate pass-through is a really critical issue in that. From there, we're going to go on and talk about other sources of trade. Here, I'm going to address things like culture and immigration flow, also the role of religion. So I'm going to speak to some of the human rights issues, the role of trust in trade relationships, also the differing property rights and environmental standards, which speaks to the sustainability issue. From there, we're going to go to some of the Krugman work on modern trade theory, the role of technology, increasing returns to scale, product differentiation. And then from that, we're going to go back to a traditional trade model called the Heckscher-Ohlin model. And then we're going to use that to look at factor price equalization, which speaks to the issue of income distribution, who wins and loses in trade, and it addresses some of the issues about friction among ethnicities and different societies. And after that, we're going to talk a little bit about protectionism, not a lot. Then we're going to go to regionalism with a focus on the EU. And we're going to start with a discussion of the tension between broader versus deeper, which I think the financial crisis has, at least in the short term, addressed that issue, and I think the consensus is deeper is necessary before they broaden. But we're also going to talk about an optimum currency area, what that means. That'll take us to a discussion about factor price equalization once again, and unit labor costs and the role of productivity, and also fiscal issues. And then we're going to end the course with the development of trade and liberalization as development policy using the solo growth model to look at some of that stuff. Talk about institutional reform as a growth policy, and also the role of the IMF and the World Bank. Okay, next one. Then the next course is the Internationalization of Finance. And in that course, we're going to start again by talking about what do we mean by internationalization and look at purely financial metrics. That's going to take us to a discussion about the balance of payments and its component parts and the implications of the different numbers in that equation. And then from there, we're going to talk about why does finance matter? And that's going to take us to some historical literature on the role of finance in growth, the role of finance in efficient resource allocation, and promoting entrepreneurship and innovation. And it's also going to lead us to a discussion about the implications for different international finance regimes on policy and policy mechanisms and effectiveness, and also about the volatility with different sectors in the economy, different macroeconomic sectors. After that, we're going to talk about the changing nature of financial markets over time, and in particular, we're going to be interested in the different composition of financial flows, the different players in the market. No longer are they primarily just governments, the different instruments they use, and the direction of flows. That's going to lead us to a discussion of exchange rates, where we're going to talk about exchange rate determination. Again, we're going to take up the issue of an optimum currency area. We're also going to talk about the role of sterilization in exchange rate manipulation, and we're all going to talk about what it means to be a vehicle currency and why and if that matters. And then from there, we're going to go on to the issue of contagion, which is so fun right now. I say being an economist right now, and international is like being an undertaker at a funeral. It's, you know, it's like a wonderful time. And here we're going to talk about 3 types of crisis. First, we're going to start with banking crisis, then we're going to do currency crisis, and then we're going to do sovereign debt crisis. And then we're going to link those. Primarily, they're linked through exchange rates and interest rate determination. And we're also going to talk about the role of the carry trade, which is very important in more recent financial crisis, and the leverage cycle. And then from there, we're going to talk about the sovereign debt crisis in the EU. And this is going to draw primarily from the popular press. And in this setup, we're going to really be interested in comparing the different countries and looking at what makes Greece different from Italy, what makes Italy different from Spain. And we're also going to address the role of Germany in all of this. And then from there, what am I doing from there? Then I'm going to talk about an international framework to deal with financial crisis. What would that look like? Would it be a lender of last resort? Would it be an international bankruptcy court? Would it be some common international legal framework? And then if we have time and there's interest and students are motivated, we're going to then take up some tools of international finance. We'll talk about the difference between hedging, speculation, arbitrage, and then look at the spot forward futures market and some strategies to hedge. And that's it.